So the NFL just released all the schedules at 8 o'clock today. And I want to start a new series breaking down each team and giving my thoughts on the record and their season, how I think things are going to play out. I'm making a video for every team. But I'm going to do, for, of course, going through each division. And we're starting off with, of course, for my Bills. We're going to be starting with the AFC East and going through the rest. Of course, Miami, Jets, Patriots. But let's break down the team that was not the number one in the division last year in the AFC East, the Buffalo Bills. Got knocked in the divisional round against Cincinnati last year. Very tough schedule. When I saw the rankings for the strength of schedules, Buffalo had the seventh toughest schedule. Sorry. No doubt, not surprising. Kansas City definitely had a much lower one. I think they were in the middle in terms of strength of schedule, which is surprising, being Super Bowl champs, and the Eagles having the toughest schedule. A little shocking. Even Cincinnati has not a tough schedule compared to the Buffalo and Philadelphia and so forth. But break it down, not a ton of primetime games. Not surprised we weren't getting a Thanksgiving game. We had back-to-back ones. I wouldn't have been shocked either way if we would have got it, just to try and push the ratings up for the NFL. But we do not get one. Of course, the biggest one probably just being the 9/11 anniversary, week 1. We do have a London game in week 5. A couple Sunday night games. I think another Monday night one, if I'm not mistaken, here. Yeah, another Monday night game against Denver in week 10. We only have one Thursday night game, which is really nice, especially for people that don't have Amazon Prime. They can't watch them. That's against Tampa Bay. The other one is Peacock. This one really shocked me today before, and I saw this even before the schedule even came out. Someone tweeted out. Week 16 for the Chargers, it's only a Peacock exclusive. I don't like that. I don't like these streaming services having exclusive rights on games, especially for ones that are just random ones like that. I hope at the very least that for both fans, at least for the Bills and Chargers, that we're able to watch them on TV. Hopefully that is the case, but again, I'm not sure. But outside of that, it's only a Peacock exclusive. But again, like I said, no doubt, when I skim through the schedule, very tough. So starting off with from week 1, of course, the 9/11 anniversary Monday Night Football against the new Jets with Aaron Rodgers, his debut. I actually have the Bills losing this one. And I have them starting off on a slow start because I think it's just trying to find their identity again. Last year, even though record-wise was spectacular, you have to take away, of course, the one game because of the Damar Hamlin situation. They went 13-3. If you want to say they were going to lose to Cincinnati, 13-4. But they were 13-3 for the season. Not horrible. But especially as a Bills fan watching them, they did not look dominant. They did not look like a 13-3 team, especially the second half of the season. After the Chiefs game, they did not look the same. Even though the year before, where they really struggled, and at one point it did look like they were going to miss the playoffs. I think at one point they were 7-6, if I have that right. Towards the end, and especially in the playoffs, they were absolutely dominant. Even though they struggled a lot more in 2021, in 2022, even though the record-wise was amazing, 13-3, they did not look like that, and they really showed that in the playoffs, where it was just they didn't seem like they wanted it. They didn't want to be there. Even though for Miami having a third-string quarterback, it just seemed like they were just out-coached, out-performed, and of course Cincinnati clearly shows that. And I think this is going to be a retooling part of it, trying to find an identity, especially with Leslie Frazier gone, at least for this year. For Sean McDermott taking the full reins of the defense, and also trying to, I think they'll have a different approach in the offense, especially trying to implement James Cook more. The bigger piece, no doubt, is the first-round pick in Dalton Kincaid, trying to figure out a 2 tight end setup. I think early on, I think they will struggle just trying to figure out and tweak some stuff in the offense. Definitely great, they got great additions in the offensive line. Osiris Torrance being the biggest one. Wide receiver help got a bunch of new faces for Allen. Defense, the big loss was Tremaine Edmunds, no doubt. But I think for this one, it's going to be off to a slow start. Either way, if the Jets or Bills lose this game, I don't think this should be a knock. There should be a knock on either one and say, oh, they're overrated if either team loses. It happens early on in the season. We saw Kansas City a couple years ago where they were off to a really slow start. It happens to everybody. New England constantly was always on tough starts. After week 4, they would be 2-2, and people were writing them off. So Either way, if the Bills or Jets lose this matchup, I don't think it should be an overreaction, but for this one, I do have the Bills losing to the Jets on Monday Night Football, 9/11 anniversary. So week 2, we are facing the Raiders. At 1 o'clock, I do have them beating the Raiders. In this one, it's going to be very interesting to see it with Jimmy Garoppolo, of course, being the biggest addition. No doubt we have to worry about Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs. Defense got a little bit better. But overall, I do believe this is definitely a team that the Bills can handle and win this game. First, for the season, the home opener. Again, I think they're more incapable of beating the Raiders. Though I do think, of course, they will be a challenge, no doubt. They are more incapable of taking them down. Moving on, we have the Washington Commanders. I do have them winning this one. Just more so with Sam Howell. No doubt Washington does have a great defense. Offense is definitely great. Great skill positions, especially in the wide receiver group. Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel. Of course, you have Robinson Jr. and Antonio Gibson. Again, great weapons around Sam Howell. But overall, once again, I do believe just because of the lack of experience for Sam Howell, I think this is more. The Bills are more incapable of winning this one. So starting off, we are at 2-1. I have Miami. I have them losing to Miami once again. Just going back to last season. I mean, they did split the series last year. The first game being in week 3 when they were at Miami, and of course it was a little bit towards the end of the season when we placed them again. Either or, I do have Miami taking this one. I think early on, and when we get to the Miami schedule, I have them firing on all cylinders right away. I think they're more incapable. They have a lethal offense, great offensive pieces, no doubt. The big weakness, of course, the glaring issue is the offensive line. But overall, I do have Miami stealing this one at Buffalo. And if you want to say upset, I don't know what the betting favorites is going to be when we get to that point. But no doubt, it's going to be tough, and you're going to notice through all the schedules for the rest of the main division, it's going to be back and forth, and I have a lot of them splitting their games, their series, and it's going to be very close this year for the record wise. So I have Miami taking week 4, starting off 2-2, and you're probably going to see a bunch of people panic if this is how it plays out. Hopefully, it's not worse than what I project, but if it is a case for 2-2, you're going to have people really start panicking and saying, "Oh, the Bills are overrated. The Bills are, not who they are or who they're hyped up to be." Again, I don't think they should worry. I don't think you should panic right now. You're so comfortable. You're still capable of making the playoffs if this is how it plays out. So now week 5, we get to the London game. Early game, no doubt. People complain, especially I see a lot of Bills fans complaining because Jacksonville is playing back-to-back weeks in London, week 4 and 5. Saying it's an unfair advantage because they're already acclimated to the time difference in London, as opposed to Buffalo getting there the first week. Jacksonville already has a week in advance. This is gonna be a tough one. We always have a tough time with Jacksonville, so I am not surprised by this if we do lose this. But for this one, I do have the Bills winning this. I think making up for the debacle a couple years ago when we got upset at 9-6 at Jacksonville. I think there's no doubt Buffalo will be capable of winning this one. It definitely be a close game, but I think the Bills can definitely take that win. Next, I have the New York Giants. Brian Daboll's return to Buffalo. This is gonna be a definitely interesting one because of Brian Daboll, no doubt having knowledge on Josh Allen, of course, being the former offensive coordinator, definitely knowing his strengths, weaknesses, and of course knowing as well the defensive flaws as well. But I think ultimately the Bills will win this game. I think just the simple fact of the quarterback play. Josh Allen is a much superior quarterback than Daniel Jones. Even though Daniel Jones had a better season, just playing wise, statistically, it doesn't jump off the board. He did really take a step forward in play. He is still an above average quarterback at best. I don't think he's a great quarterback. I think it's more so just the genius of Brian Daboll, of course, and that's giving a ton of credit to him. He's a great offensive mind, but they can only go so far with the average quarterback, above average quarterback at best. And I think Josh Allen will easily, but no doubt will outperform Daniel Jones in that game. I just worry about the defensive side. Definitely the Giants at times have played defense pretty good. Have played great defense last season, so it's definitely going to be this no doubt will be a tough one just because of Brian Daboll. Regardless, if Brian Daboll was on the Giants, I would probably say it's more likely it's a much easier game for Buffalo. But the fact that Brian Daboll is there, it makes it a lot more challenging. But regardless, I do have the Bills winning this one against the Giants. New England, I have the Bills beating New England. Week 7, this is away. Again, once we get to the Patriots video, I'll explain more of my concerns with them. No doubt they are the worst team in the division in terms of talent wise and so forth, especially for Daniel Jones. Supporting cast, I don't like the cast that he has. They have decent pieces, but overall, I don't think it's good enough to compete in the AFC East with the Buffalo, Miami, and Jets. It's way too much. It's way too much talent. All three of these teams have for New England when they very lack that. So I have New England, us beating New England. So now we get to the Thursday night game, primetime game against the Buccaneers. I have them being whoever that may be, Baker Mayfield, Kyle Trask, whoever that may be. They're in a rebuilding mode, and this will most likely be a team that's going to be contending for the first overall pick or the Caleb Williams sweepstakes. I have that. The Bills taking down Tampa Bay in this one. So a nice 4-game winning streak that I have projected after a rough 2-2 start, being 6-2. Pretty good. If this is how it goes, you're feeling pretty confident on a nice winning streak. You're back in contention of the division and, of course, the playoff spot. And we start to hit a rough stretch. Cincinnati, tougher teams ahead. Cincinnati, no doubt this will be, I project this to be a much more competitive game than it was at the divisional round. The divisional round was horrible to watch. It was awful. It wasn't even close. Once the game started, it was easy to tell that Cincinnati was the more superior team. Though for this one, I do have the Bills losing to Cincinnati, being away. I guess replaying the last year's game how it was supposed to. I do have Cincinnati winning this game, though I will say I have the Bills playing much better and living up to much more of the pressure that they have on Cincinnati. I think they will live up to that, and it will actually be a close game in this one, though the Bills will fall short against Cincinnati. So I have a loss for them. Moving on to Denver. Denver is a very tricky team just because of Sean Payton. And also, who knows with Russell Wilson. This could be a wild card team that I can easily see people say either way, a win or a loss. But for this one, I do have the Bills winning this one against Denver. I'm not too sure still of Russell Wilson getting up there in age, of course, and not being, it doesn't look like he's really wanting to play how he used to be, his style. So for this one, I do have the Bills taking advantage of this. Not saying Russell Wilson's going to play horrible like he did last year. I think he'll play much better. But I still question a little bit on the offensive side for Broncos, even though they have amazing offensive-minded coach in Sean Payton. I do have the Bills taking down Denver in this one. The Jets, second time trying to get revenge after the Week 1 loss to, on Thursday night. I have the Bills winning this one, getting revenge, splitting the series 1-1 against the Jets, which I project for, giving a teaser towards the end. But I have, for the most part, all these guys really splitting a series against each other. And I think that the Bills will get revenge from Week 1 and will take down the Jets in Week 11. Week 12, the Super Bowl runner-ups, the Philadelphia Eagles. Man, this team is stacked. This team is dominant. And I have the Bills losing this one. I just think I wouldn't be shocked if this was a tad bit of a blowout by Philadelphia, because it's just, especially offensively, so much talent on that side. Especially look at the receiving core, especially with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, the running backs. Offensive line, it is getting up there in age, but no doubt it's still great. Of course, the obvious piece being Jalen Hurts. The defense adding Jalen Carter, and DeAndre Swift, of course, for the running back position, if he's healthy by that point. Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith. We know the defensive front is outstanding. Was, I think, top 3 all-time last year in sacks. I think they had 70-plus sacks last year. Though you can argue with the strength of schedule. No doubt that is a tough team to face. potentially, and if somehow Buffalo can make it to the Super Bowl, that will most likely be one of the two teams that they will face in the Super Bowl if they made it if they make it that far. But I have the Bills losing to Philadelphia in this one. Week 13, we have a bye, which is very nice. It's a late bye, but it's great. I'd rather have that. I see some teams have one early on, like I think the Favy here. Look at the Jets. The Jets have theirs at week 7, very early on. So nice to have. We get a break in between because it sets up for a tough remaining stretch. So so week 14 after the bye week, we have the Kansas City Chiefs away. I do have the Bills losing this one. I just think a little bit more so just having an extra week off, though that could be a knock because of just not being in rhythm, having a blockage from game to game, having an extra week off. I think they might be a little bit rusty, but I think they will need it too, barring hopefully knock on wood there's not any injuries, but if there is, or just a lot of players being banged up, I think they will take, definitely much needed help at week 13, but I think the Kansas City Chiefs will beat Buffalo in week 14. In the matchup, usually last couple of years we've beaten them at Arrowhead, but for this one, I do have Kansas City winning this one. Again, if you look at back-to-back, if you take away the bye week, tough back-to-back games, honestly. Or if you want to look at a 3-game stretch, Jets, Philly, Kansas City, very tough stretch. If you look at a 3-game stretch like that, that's very tough. Next, depending on how you feel about Dallas, I do think Dallas will be a good team this year. For this one, I do have Buffalo winning that one, though a close game. Dallas, once again, a tricky one, no doubt, but I think ultimately the Bills are more incapable of taking down Dallas. The biggest factor you really need to worry about is Trayvon Diggs and Micah Parsons, which is also going to be an exciting game because we're going to see brother versus brother, Stephon versus Trayvon Diggs. That's going to be a very interesting matchup to see, no doubt. I would hope, at least talent-wise, that I believe Stephon Diggs is a better player than Trayvon Diggs, and I think that will show. Though it definitely will be. I won't be surprised if Diggs struggle in that, just because of course, being his brother, him knowing how he plays. That'll be an interesting matchup on its own. But ultimately, another one too, Micah Parsons, no doubt. I have him as Defensive Player of the Year this year. My way too early 2023 predictions I have posted on Twitter at Sports Brewers. If you want to check it out, I have it pinned. I have Micah Parsons as a way too early 2023 Defensive Player of the Year winner. So no doubt you really have to worry about him. Offense, without Zeke Elliott, no, that doesn't mean anything. They'll have Tony Pollard, which is a great running back, no doubt. Definitely showed last year flashes, explosiveness. Dak Prescott, depending on what type of Dak Prescott you get, though, he's more incapable of taking down teams like this. CeeDee Lamb, again, more incapable. One of the top wide receivers in the NFL. This is going to be it will be a challenging one, but Buffalo can no doubt take down Kansas City. So next we have the Chargers, once again with Herbert. It's again a rematch from this will be the second time they face each other. The first one being back in 2020 when he was a rookie, and that was a really close game too. That came down to the wire, almost a Hail Mary attempt at the end of the game. I'm not sure about this one just because of, again, barring injury. You can say this for any team, but it's just this team has a tendency, especially at the wide receiver position, the Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. I don't know what offense they're going to bring into the table. Also, don't know what's going to happen to Austin Eckler. I'm assuming he'll play. I'm guessing I don't see any scenario where he sits out. I know he's very frustrated without having a contract extension. But again, just assuming he's there, no doubt, a very underrated running back in my opinion is a pivotal in the offense. Same thing too, offensive line. They do need some help on that position. Defense have a ton of help. Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, J.C. Jackson. Even though I do think he got way overpaid, I think he'll have a bounce back year. Derwin James. No doubt they have nice pieces on the defensive side that can really disrupt the Bills' offense. They great pieces, no doubt. Like I said, my best piece I would probably say is Khalil Mack, or you could say Joey Bosa. No, either way, definitely elite players on that side of the ball. But I do have the Bills winning that one. So wrapping up the home game, the final home game of the year, New England. I do have Buffalo beating New England. Them sweeping the Patriots, the only team they're sweeping in the division. course, I had the Jets and Dolphins. Segueing into the Dolphins, I do have the Bills winning this one. They don't have a date for that one, but I do have the Bills winning Week 18 and officially wrapping up the season. So they will split the series between the Jets and sweep the Patriots that I project. Overall, in my record, I do have the Bills going 12-5. Though you could argue there's a couple losses. Maybe you want to say Dallas or you want to say Chargers or Jacksonville. I could definitely, if you want to add maybe one or two more losses to the list, if you want to say maybe 11-6. 10-7. I'll probably lean towards maybe 11-6 if you want to add one more loss on there. No doubt, even though I do have them going 12-5, it is a very tough schedule. It's going to be very challenging, and especially again, what I keep saying over and over again for this division, it's going to be very close towards the end. It might come down to the weeks 17, 18 to decide who's going to win the division. It is so close this year with the addition of Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. Miami getting a few more pieces, especially Jalen Ramsey being the biggest piece, I think, in the offseason for Miami. It's going to be a very close division. You're going to see it in the records. It's again, very, very close. I won't be shocked if 3 teams come out of this division in the playoffs. It's just that stacked of a division. It's going to be very challenging. It's very interesting to see in terms of just, as a Bills fan, it sucks to see that because I don't want all these tough teams in this division, but in terms of just an NFL fan in general, it is exciting to see the stacked competition that's going to be going on in the AFC East and how it plays out. But once again, I do have the Bills going 12-5 in 2023. I'm not going to make any playoff predictions yet, but I'm just going to leave it at now as a regular season. Again, 12-5. I think it's more than fair if you want to give one more loss and say 11-6, but overall 11-12 wins this year is what I have the Bills going. That's going to wrap up my video. The next video, I will have the New York Jets, talking about Aaron Rodgers' debut, his first season in that, and with the Jets, I'll break down their season and how I feel it's going to go. But let me know your thoughts down below on the Bills schedule. If you agree with my wins and losses, if you agree if the Bills will go 12-5, or you think they're going to be much better or much worse, let me know down below on that. But with that being said, thank you for watching. I'll see you next one.